Apparently, Viola has not been successful in the wooing of Olivia. So Orsino, and notice they both have O's in their names, so they you don't get them mixed up. You know that Orsino's pursuing Olivia. Uh, so he comes to Olivia's household, you might say itself, or anyway, is walking that way, it seems. And there he meets with what may be seen as his pursuit of Olivia, it personified the fool. He's a fool in pursuing her, you might say. So the fool meets him, and they have a nice little dialogue where the fool works a couple coins out of him. Not the third one, but he gets two out of him. Uh, and Orsino says, "You can fool no more money out of me at this throw, this time around. If you will let your lady know I'm here to speak with her and bring her along with you, it may awake my bounty further." Is there any difference between further and farther? We do a little word stuff today. Pardon?
Further is used in British English.
Pardon?
Further is used in British English, right? And farther is used in American.
Well, I think both are used both. Yeah. Yeah. The difference is farther is distance. It's farther away. Further has something to do with something internal, like a philosophy takes us further along the route to understanding of. So here he says, you might awake my bounty, that giving away money, further, not farther. That would be in a distance, but here it's an internal movement of Orsino, or could be. It's not yet happened. But anyway, he says it could be, and the fool says, "Marry, sir, lullaby to your bounty till I come again. I go, sir, but I would not have you think that my desire of having is the sin of covetousness." What is covetousness? Greed. The Apostle Paul, St. Paul the Apostle, however you want to call him, or Paul, said he didn't understand uh, the Ten Commandments rightly until he realized there was a command that says, "Thou shalt not covet." Why is that? You should be happy with what the Lord gave you, definitely. How do you judge that? See, covetousness is entirely internal. You can tell if you hurt somebody or kill somebody or lie to somebody, it's out there externally. But covetousness is totally internal. So Paul said, once I discovered that, I realized things aren't so good in my head. But as you say, sir, let your bounty take a nap. I will awake it anon, soon. The sooner the better. Okay, Catherine, why don't you do Viola here, and let's see. Noah, why don't you do Orsino, okay? Do you have your text online? But do you have the text online? Well, you ought to be able to read from that, right? We're at, well, I don't know if you have the right pages, right? Page 163 is in this little text. Uh, might be that in that text. In the Folger text, he's called Orsino. But in some of the texts, you see it, does it say Duke? Duke, 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 Duke over, that kind of thing. Uh, That's because you see, different editors do different things with texts. We cannot trust entirely any text you receive. So what somebody does who teaches the classes I used to teach a lot. I taught it once in London. It was called Shakespeare on Stage. So we went to all these different productions in on the London stage, often usually at RSC, that's the Royal Shakespeare Company. There's actually a company under the control of the Queen, as it were now. The Royal Shakespeare Company. And then there's others too. Okay. Uh, anyway, somebody who teaches like that compares all these texts and will tell you the variations as I sometimes do. But there you go. You got the Duke there. Yeah. Okay. So he's there just as Antonio and the officers arrive. Now, let's see. How can we work this out? Jacob, why don't you be Antonio? Okay. 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 And Catherine, you're Viola. And so we're at 163. That page at the bottom there, where it says, "Enter Antonio and officers." Now, isn't this interesting? The officers, remember, arrested Antonio in a previous act in one of the scenes, and they must have been marching around the village a bit, maybe showing off the arrest or something. I don't know. Why is it that they suddenly appear here when Orsino's here to see Olivia? Well, it's got to work that way, or the plot wouldn't all fall together. That's really how it goes. So anyway, go ahead, Viola. Catherine.
Following vessel he was the captain of, the Charlotte dropped the boat bicycle, which such
Scatheful.
grapple did he make with the most noble bottom of earth, that very envy and tongue of loss, cried fame and honor on it. What's the matter?
Orsino, this is that Antonio that took the Phoenix and her freight from Candia. And this is he that did the tiger board when your young nephew Titus lost his leg. This is a little joke for the groundlings, for the audience. It doesn't have to be brought up, you know, when your nephew Titus lost his leg. So maybe there was an accident or incident in London at the time where the nephew of somebody at the court lost their leg, or, you know, could mean a lot of things. But I'm sure that it's a joke. Here in the street, because he doesn't have to mention that. Here in the streets, desperate of shame at state, in private, bravo did we apprehend him.
Noble pirate, thou stout water, what foolish boldness brought thee to their mercy, whom thou, in terms so bloody and so dear, hast made thy ends?
Orsino, noble sir, be pleased that I shake off these names you give me. Antonio never yet was a thief or pirate, though I confess, on base and ground enough, Orsino's enemy. A witchcraft drew me hither. That most ungrateful boy there by your side, from the rude seas, enraged and foamy mouth, did I redeem. A rack past hope he was. His life I gave him and did thereto add, my love without retention or restraint, all his in dedication. For his sake did I expose myself, pure for his love, into the danger of this adverse town, drew to defend him when he was beset, where, being apprehended, his false cunning, not meaning to partake with me in danger, taught him to face me out of his acquaintance, and grew a 20 years removed thing, while one would wink, denied me mine own purse, which I had recommended to his use not half an hour before.
How can this be?
When came he to this town?
Today, my lord, and for 3 months before. No interim, not a minute's vacancy. Both day and night did we keep company.
Okay, now we got an interesting piece of chronology. They've been together for 3 months. So it's 3 months since the shipwreck. What country, sir, is this? This is Illyria, lady, after the Orsino scene. So that shipwreck, this is right That's right, when that happened. That'd be 3 months ago. And just today, they've come to town. So when he gives them his purse and all that's happened just today. So that's following pretty closely to the stricture of time that would be in a classic play. This is all happening more or less within this day. Anyway, this half of the play. Go ahead.
Here comes the economics, and I haven't lost it. But for thee, fellow, thy words are madness. 3 months this youth has tended upon me, but more of that anon. Take him aside.
Go ahead, Allison.
What would my lord, but that he may not have, wherein Olivia may seem serviceable? Cesario, you do not keep promise with me.
Gracious Olivia,
What do you say, Cesario? Good my lord.
My lord wants to be my duty.
If it be aught to the old tune, my lord, it is as fat and fulsome to mine ear as howling after leaving.
still so cruel.
Still so constant, lord.
What to perverseness, you uncivil lady, to whose ingrate and unauspicious altars my soul the faithfulness offerings hath breathed out, that ever devotion tendered. What shall I do?
Even what it please, my lord, that shall become him.
Okay, notice as they get into these speeches, the response gets pretty scattered because they're talking to different people than they think they're talking to. Anyway, with Viola, because Olivia believes that this is the one that she has pledged her troth to with the priest. That's the term for that, pledge the troth. Okay, so go ahead, Orsino.
Where should I go? Had I the heart to do it, like to the Egyptian thief at point of death. Kill what I love, a savage kills, that sometimes savors noble. But hear me this, since you to not regardance pass my faith, and that I partly know the instrument, that screws me from my truth face in your favor, live you the marble-breasted tyrant still. But this your minion, whom I know you love, and whom by heaven I swear I tender dearly, him will I tear out of that cruel eye, where he sits crowned in his master's bed. Come boy with me, my thoughts are ripe in mischief. I'll sacrifice the lamb that I do love, despite a raven's heart.
Okay, now Orsino is saying he hates this boy now, and he's going to tear him away from Olivia, and he hates to do it because he loves him so much. Well, there was that, you could have that kind of affection for a younger person, I think. I don't think it suggests anything unusual. And the reason I have you read these speeches is that I discovered when I was teaching, for instance, inner city kids, African American black kids, they would say, "Ooh, I can't understand this. This is a different kind of language." And then they started reading it, and suddenly boom. One day a kid said, "Wow, this is great." So once you get used to it by reading it, it's not so difficult to penetrate, as I think you see. Uh, and I most jocund apt, right?
I most drunken and happy willingly to do you rest 1,000 deaths with God.
Where goes Cesario?
After him I love, more than I love these eyes, more than my life, more by all wars than e'er hast thou loved life. If I do made witnesses above, punish my life for deeds I love.
I, me, detested, how am I beguiled?
Who does beguile you? Who does you wrong?
Hast thou forgot thyself? It is so long. Call forth the Holy Father.
Come, away.
Whether, my lord, Cesario husband stay.
Husband,
I, husband, can he that deny?
her husband, Sirrah.
No, my lord, not I.
See, now the confusion really gets mixed up here, where they start calling what he thinks is a boy her husband. Husband? That's kind of a husband. Yeah, okay. Uh, Alas.
Alas, it is the basis of thy fear that makes thee strangle thy propriety. Fear not, Cesario, take thy fortunes up. Be that Thou knowest thou art, and then thou art as great as thou fearest. O welcome, Father. Father, I charge thee by thy reverence, here to unfold, though lately be intended to keep in darkness what occasion now reveals before 'tis ripe. What thou dost know hath newly passed between this youth and me.
A contract of eternal bond of love, confirmed by mutual joinder of your hands, attested by the holy close of lips, strengthened by interchangement of your rings, and all the ceremony of this compact sealed in my function by my testimony, since when my watch hath told me toward my grave I have traveled but 2 hours. Now we have another chronological point here. It's only this, so this is all happening this day. It's only been 2 hours since he took them into the chapel and they pledged their vows to each other. Okay.
What wilt thou do? When time hath spilled the drizzle on thy kiss, or will not else thy craft so quickly grow, but thine own trip shall be thine overthrow. Farewell and take it, but direct thy feet, where thou and I henceforth may never meet.
My lord, I do protest.
Oh, do not swear, O little faith, though thou hast too much fear.
Okay, so now the clowns enter. We got to find out what happened to them. So we find out that they thought they were going back to challenge Cesario after they've set it up so nobody hurts each other. So she and Sir Andrew don't hurt each other. Then they've set it up. Now we're going to have a real duel, and it turns out that it's not Violet, it's Sebastian. So now they enter, and their coxcombs, that's their heads. That's the thing on a rooster, a coxcomb. COMB, has been bashed, they mention. And then comes Sir Toby, and Festy the Fool is along with him. He's hurt me, and there's the end. Sought did see Dick Surgeon sought. That's supposed to be the doctor. And the fool says, "Oh, he's drunk, Sir Toby, an hour gone. His eyes were set at 8 in the morning." The text, I don't think, explains that very, very well. It means that he's so loaded, his eyes are like this. So some people get that way, as they try to keep their balance. I've seen it. Never experienced that myself. Okay, so they've been beat up, and then let's go to where Olivia has. Then he's a rogue and a passy measures heaven. That's another dance. I hate a drunken rogue. Olivia, somewhere. It's on page 175. She says, "Away with him." You see that? Right toward the middle. Okay.
Away with him, who hath made this havoc with them.
I'll help you, Sir Toby, because we'll be dressed together. Will you help an ass head and a coxcomb and a knave and a thin-faced knave a gull? Okay, so now guess what? Here comes Sebastian. So now we're going to get the two twins together. Okay, go ahead, Sebastian. Are you there? Oh, you're Antonio. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Adam. I have hurt your kinsman, but had it been the brother of my blood, I must have done no less with wit and safety. You throw a strange guard upon me, and by that I do perceive it hath offended you. Pardon me, sweet one, even for the vows we made each other but so late ago.
One face, one voice, one habit, two persons. A natural perspective, this is and is that.
Antonio, oh, my dear Antonio, how have the hours racked and tortured me, since I have lost thee?
Sebastian, are you?
Fearest thou that, Antonio?
How have you made a division of yourself? An apple cleft in two is not more twin than these two creatures. Which is Sebastian?
Most wonderful.
Do I stand there? I never had a father, nor can there be that deity.
Brother. Yeah.
Nor can there be that deity in my nature. Of here and everywhere, I had a sister, whom the blind waves and surges have devoured. Of charity, what kin are you to me? What countryman? What name? What parent?
Okay, so now they got to work it out. Who's who? This is the who's who of the play. Go ahead.
Spirit I am indeed, but am in this dimension grossly clad. But from the womb I did participate. Were you a woman as the rest goes even, I should my tears let fall upon your cheek, and say, thrice welcome, drowned Viola.
My father had a mole upon his brow,
And so had mine.
and died that day when Viola from her birth had numbered 13 years.
For that record is lively in my soul. He finished, indeed, his mortal act. That day that made my sister 13 years.
See, because they both think the other's dead by drowning. They want to certify that this is, he wants to certify this is his sister, and she wants to certify, well, this is my brother. Okay, go ahead.
If nothing was to make us comfortable, of this my master would be certainly tired, and I embraced until each circumstance, waste time watching, coherent jump. And I am Viola, which to confirm, I'll bring you to a captain in this town, where lie my maiden maids, by whose gentle help I was preserved to serve this noble count. All the occurrence of my fortune since hath been between this lady and this lord.
So comes it. Lady, you have been mistook. But nature to her bias drew in that. You would have been contracted to a maid, nor are you therein by my life deceived. You are betrothed both to a maid and a man.
Duke. Duke. Duke.
Be not amazed, right noble is his blood. If this be so, as yet the glass seems true, I shall have share in this most happy breath. Boy, thou hast said to me 1,000 times, thou never shouldst love women like me.
Okay, whenever a glass is mentioned, as in glass, that's a mirror. It's always a mirror. Okay? Okay, go Vile.
And all the sins what it will learn swear, and all the swearings keep as true as soul, as dawn that will continent fire, that severs day from night.
What's the orbit continent filled with fire that severs day from night? Huh? The sun. It looks like, I mean, they didn't have telescopes then, or they had ones that weren't so good, so that it seemed like it was a ball of fire. So that's how he's describing it. Okay, Viola. All those things, right? Who's Viola? Yeah,
The captain that did bring me first on shore.
sure, go ahead. Yeah.
My maid performance came from some actions is now endurance, that will be the suit, and gentlemen follow over of my wings.
So just meant notice this captain is now working on some part of a suit from Malvolio. Maybe Malvolio, what, he's going to bring a court case against these people? But how did this captain get involved with Malvolio? I don't know. It's just, I think Shakespeare just trying to tie his knot even tighter. So he relates that captain that we barely saw. I mean, we did get a look at him at the beginning of the play. He's now helping out Malvolio in some way. Okay.
You shall enlarge him. Fetch Malvolio hither, and yet, alas, now remember me. They say, poor gentleman, he's much distract, a most extracting frenzy of mine own, for my remembrance clearly banished his. How does he, sirrah?
Truly, madam, he holds Beelzebub at the stave's end, as well as a man in his case may do. He's here, read a letter to you. I should have given it today morning. So this is all happening within a day when he wrote the letter and all that kept in darkness. But as a madman's epistles are no gospels, so it skills me not much when they are delivered. Look then to be well edified when the fool delivers a madman. By the Lord, madman, madam. No, madam, I do but read madness, and your ladyship will leave it as it ought to be. You must allow vox. Oh, so I do, Madonna. But to read his right wits is to read thus. Therefore, perpend, my mistress, and give ear. So he gives it to Fabian, who says, by the Lord, madam. And he goes through all the ways he's been injured. The semblance I put on, with the which I doubt but that, to do myself much right or you much shame. Think of me as you please. I leave my duty a little unthought of, and speak out of my injury the madly used Malvolio. I, madam.
Bring him hither. My lord, so please you, these things further fall on. Think me as well a sister as a wife. One day shall crown the alliance on it, so please you, here at my house and at my proper cost.
Okay, what she's proposing is that they both get married together in her house, the two couples. Go ahead.
Ma'am, I am most apt to embrace your offer. Your master puts you and for your service done, so much against the metal of your sex, so far beneath your soft and tender breeding, and since you called me master for so long, here is my hand, you shall from this time be your master's mistress.
A sister, you are she.
Is this the madman?
I, my lord, this same. How now, Malvolio?
Hey, Zachary, you're going to read that again. Go ahead.
Madame, you have done me wrong, notorious wrong.
Have I, Malvolio? No.
Lady, you have. Pray peruse that letter. You must not now deny it is your hand. Write from it if you can, in hand or phrase, or say 'tis not your seal, not your invention. You can say none of this. Well, grant it then, and tell me, the modesty of honor, why you have given me such clear lights of favor. Bade me come smiling and cross-gartered to you, to put on yellow stockings and to frown upon Sir Toby and the lighter people. And acting this in an obedient hope, why have you suffered me to be imprisoned, kept in a dark house, visited by the priest, and made the notorious decking bowl that ever invention played on? Tell me why.
Alas, Malvolio, this is not my writing, though I confess much like the character, but out of question, 'tis Maria's hand. And now I do bethink me, it was she, first told me thou wast mad, and camest in smiling, and in such forms which here were presupposed upon thee in the letter. Prithee, be content. This practice hath most shrewdly passed upon thee. But when we know the grounds and offers of it, thou shalt be both the plaintiff and the judge of thine own cause.
Good madam, hear me speak, and let no quarrel nor no brawl to come taint the condition of this present hour which I have wondered at. In hope it shall not, most freely I confess, myself and Toby set this device against Malvolio here upon some stubborn and uncourteous parts we had conceived against him. Maria writ the letter of Sir Toby's great importance, in recompense whereof he hath married her. Wow, now we got a third marriage. Sir Toby's married Maria. Wow. How with a sportful malice it was followed may rather pluck on laughter than revenge, if that the injuries be justly weighed that have on both sides passed.
Alas, poor fool, how they have baffled me.
What? Some are born great, some achieve greatness, some have greatness thrown upon them. I was one, sir, in this interlude, one Sir Topus, sir, but that's all one. By the Lord, fool, I am not mad. But do you remember, madam? Why laugh you at such a barren rascal? And you smile not, he's gagged, and thus the whirligig of time brings in his revenges.
Only revenge in the whole pack.
He hath been most notoriously abused.
Okay, I'll be revenged on the whole pack of you. Now, would this be a Puritan Christian's view? Who is revenge ascribed to? Who is allowed to visit revenge on others? Only God. Yes. I'll set aside what your injuries and so forth. I will be revenged on him, says the Lord. A revenge is the opposite of love. Revenge is when you can't forgive somebody, so you're going to take out their injury on them. And that's left to the sovereign rule of God. Acting when he will. If in no other way, maybe at the last judgment. Who talks most about hell? Anybody want to tell me? Who talks most about hell in the New Testament? Pardon? Who? John? Jesus. And Jesus talks most about economics, money, and how it's used. Jesus says, I believe 3 times about hell, where the worm is not quenched. No, where the worm never dies and the fire is not quenched. Bad sounding stuff. So a Christian does not seek revenge. And here Malvolio says he's going to be revenged on a little pack of you. And perhaps that's why he's enlisted this captain. Maybe he's going to come in with his sword. Who knows? Maybe that's what Shakespeare's trying to suggest in tying the two together here at the end. Anyway, okay, Orsino, go ahead. See?
That is now in golden piping nuts, a solemn combination shall pray. Dear souls, meantime, sweet sister, you will not depart from Cesario come, for so you shall be, when you are a man. But when in others' habits you are seen, Orsino's mistress.
Okay, so the boy who'd be dressed just in men's costume does not have to put on women's dress again. They just talked about it. So then there's just the final thing. When that I was and a little tiny boy, sort of like that. The hey ho, the wind and the rain. Goes through sort of the several ages of man, humanity, humankind, and they're not very great. But then at the end he says, but that's all one. Our play is done, and we'll strive to please you every day. Okay, so looks like we have a crowd of joining our drama here today. It looks like, I don't know, they look kind of like criminals. Well, that's it for this week, folks. So you may now, I won't see you for a while. Okay. But don't forget to get me that paper. Okay. He's going home. See you all Monday, and then we just have Wednesday, and then your Monday the paper, Wednesday a class, and then we're done for that week. A brief week.